Friends, welcome. For last few sessions we have been discussing about origin, evolution, divinity, etc. We had tried to explain or try to understand that if everything has emerged from God and God is the source of everything, then God is present in everything, which means God as divinity, God as creation is one and the same. It is this issue which we are going to discuss further and see how divinity is present. If we look at the various aspects, in the previous sections we had tried to explain that God is the source, creator, and end of all that exists. God can be felt and realized as vibrations or radiations from matter and all that exists, including the livings. Sahaja Yoga basically works through these vibrations. Discussion of Sahaja Yoga, the discussion of self-realization, discussion of everything else in Sahaja Yoga is basically this radiation of energy which can be felt on hands, on organs and body parts. In fact, these vibrations can make us communicate with every living, non-living matter, objects, plants, and everything else. We as human beings have assigned various names to God for various functions like creation, maintenance, balance, etc., as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and also assigned names to elements of matter as Akash Devta, Vayu Devta, Agni Devta, Jal Devta, Prithvi Devi or Bhu Devi, etc. These are all forms of God and goddesses and exist in creation in every material, non-material, visible, invisible object or living. Sahaja Yoga recognizes all these and uses this manifestation of creator in physical, mental, emotional and spiritual evolution of human beings. This makes Sahaja Yoga a divine path for pure universal religion and of knowing how individual unites with Creator, the God Almighty. On that, we'll discuss this topic under various headings like giving background, God and divinity, divinity in creation, expression of God and divinity in creation, human beings, etc., and conclude with some remarks. If we go back to our previous understanding, creation has emerged from silence, which means God existed in silence and beyond silence also. This has been depicted as Param Brahm, Sadashiv, Mahakal, etc., and shown in the form of Param Brahm to Sadashiva, Shiva to Shakti, Shiva and Shakti, and then Adi Shakti who transformed herself into Triganatmika Prakriti as Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, Mahakali, and gave birth to gods, human beings, and devils or Rakshasas. The point to understand is Adi Shakti first transformed into the three aspects of nature, Tamasic, Rasic, Sattvic, and these are all present in gods, in Rakshasas, and human beings. All forms of living, matter, etc., either have godly nature or have Rakshasi nature or are neutral like a human being, but all are affected by Trigunatmika Prakriti in expression, in actions, and in everything. This is how the divinity works from Param Brahm to creation, from beginning of origin, and will continue to do so for all times to come on that. If we go back to our discussion on origin and evolution, we will see that we had said that silence led to birth of Shiva and Shakti, and separation of Shiva and Shakti gave birth to the sound of Om, which manifests as energy or Adi Shakti and was seen by science as Big Bang. But important point was this presence of divinity gave birth to 4 levels of existence: physical, subtle, causal, and supercausal, which are actually the essence of every item in existence, but with different degrees. This energy or Adi Shakti transformed into matter, which is from space to energy, gases, liquids, solids, and life took birth in water in the form of amoeba and first unicellular being, and gave birth to waterborne, landborne, airborne, higher forms of life, etc. The point to be noted is starting from silence to creation of living and of higher forms. Divinity is an action in every form in existence. Therefore, creation is a reflection of divinity in action. That is the first point which we need to understand. The next important point is that divinity transformed herself, or God transformed himself into various forms of divine gurus and dasavtaras, which led to the evolution. If you look at the diagram here, we see the first God emerged in the form of Matsya avatar in the water-born life, then led to Kurma avatar, which is again water plus, and then led to the Varaha avatar, which is basically the moving towards land, and then finally came to the Manavatar or human being or Vamanavatar as it is. Thus, God transformed from water-born Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Vara avatar, Narsingh avatar to forward to Vaman avatar, and then finally up to the Kalki with the avatar which will take place in modern times, transcending all that was taught as Parshuram, as Ram, as Krishna, as Buddha or Christ, etc. Thus, every aspect of creation has been affected, guided, led by divinity in existence and transformed the creation from one form to another, which is seen as evolution or change in life forms. As the Dasavtaras represented the various forms of creation, same way the divinity transformed into Adi Gurus or divine Gurus, starting from Raja Janak to Abraham to Zoroaster to Lao Tse to Sainath, and in between Moses, Confucius, Muhammad, Socrates, and Guru Nanak. These are also the form of evolution of the religious forms in nature, where divinity has played its role as Guru or the divine form in that. Thus, divinity has been leading the creation, the forms of creation, the matter, the mankind, from unconscious to superconscious, from energy to matter to life form. But divinity has been present everywhere in one form or the other, whether in Dasavatara, whether Adi Gurus, or in all other forms. And this aspect is reflected inside a human being. Our body, our being, is basically the abode of God. God is present inside us in every form. The diagram which shows here, the first thing to be noticed is the Kundalini instrument, where Kundalini or the Adi Shakti is present in the sacrum bone in the coiled form, is present in Mooladhara Chakra as Shri Ganesh, is present in Swadhisthana Chakra, the second chakra, as Brahmadev and Saraswati, is present in Nabhi Chakra as Grah Lakshmi, Raj Lakshmi, and Lakshmi Vishnu, also present in void as Adi Gurus, the ones whom we saw, Adi Gurus here. All these are present in the void or in the part which is shown within our being. And then Anhat is the seat of Durga or Adi Shakti herself, and also reflects Sita Ram, Shiv Parvati as the divine forms. Goes to the next form, into the Vishuddhi Chakra, which is the seat of Sri Krishna as the form of God, Radha Krishna, Yasoda, and it shows the various other aspects of Vishnu Maya, Rukmani Vitthal, etc. in the human being, and consciousness in terms of subconscious, supraconscious, unconscious, conscious, and finally going upwards towards Agya Chakra, which is the seat of Mahatma Buddha, Mahavir Jain, Lord Christ, Ma Mary, and further to Sestrar Chakra on top, which is the seat of Paramatma, known as Allah, Sadashiv, Param-Brahm, Paramatma, God, and Jehovah, and all other forms which human beings have given names, but are actually the form of God, Creator, Divinity, who is present at our sestrar or at the seat at our head. This aspect in the human being is reflected as Kundalini instrument, where nadis and chakras are a reflection of the stages of the evolution and can be seen both in Virata and human being, or as the Adi Kundalini instrument and Kundalini instrument in the human being with various forms on that. This aspect of divinity can be realized through Kundalini awakening, which leads to self-realization. Self-realization means in a normal human being, soul is hidden, Atma is hidden. We know there is something called Atma, but we do not know how to feel it. But self-realization means to feel the presence of soul and communicate at conscious level through our various activities. As shown here, on top, if we sit in meditation with both hands open, close our eyes and put our hands down on earth, which will basically absorb the negativity from our body into the Mother Earth, and then clear our left side, clear our right side, we will find that negativities get cleared from our being and we become ready for meditation in a thoughtless state. For raising the Kundalini generally remains dormant, because at the time of birth, when umbilical cord was cut, at that time a gap got formed as shown here in the diagram, right? In the circle, this gap got formed, and this gap can be filled by raising of the Kundalini. And the process of raising Kundalini is shown in the second line diagrams. Starting from left, we put our left hand on the heart and pray to God Almighty, Mother, am I Atma? Am I soul? And then we put our hand down, Mother, please make us our Guru, or are we our Guru? And then put our hand down at the joint of leg and the stomach, where we say, Mother, please grant us true knowledge, because this is the seat of Brahmadevi Saraswati, and we get true knowledge through here. Next diagram, next one shows we move the hand upwards and we say, affirm that Mother, with your blessings, we are our own gurus. And then we put our hand upwards. We say that, Mother, with your blessings, we are Atma. And then we put our hand on the neck joint and say that, Mother, I'm not guilty at all, because mostly human beings do feel guilty, which acts as a block. And then we put our hand on the forehead in front and press forward to say we forgive everyone. And we then put hand backwards to say that if we have made by mistake any mistake, please forgive us. And then we can feel the vibrations or the rise of the Kundalini through our hands and feel the vibrations in the air or space by raising both our hands. If we look at the first diagram, it was basically the clearing of the left and right channels, which is Ida and Pingala, and making us ready for meditation. In the second channel, we make the Kundalini rise from base sacrum bone upwards up to our sestrar, or the crown of the head, at various stages. And these stages, the number of affirmations, etc., can be practiced. We have a talk on self-realization, can be heard, or we can visit a Sahaja Yoga center and practice Kundalini awakening there. And once the Kundalini is awakened, we raise the Kundalini again and tie it so that it does not slip down. And the diagram which shows there is we are lifting the Kundalini up and tying and 3 knots, and with this we finally complete our self-realization aspect, which empowers us to know about God Almighty, and make us unite with God and feel the divinity through our hands. This is the state which becomes after self-realization. Smaller blocks are the Sahaja Yogis, whose Kundalini is rising, and Kundalini rising through Param Chetan or space gets united with the Creator or Virat, and that is the stage where yoga takes place. The union of Atma with Paramatma takes place, and human beings or a Sahaja Yogi can become the instrument of knowing God in all possible forms. Therefore, if we go back, God existed as silence. God existed as silence and emerged as Shakti or energy. This primordial energy or Adi Shakti is actually the reflection of God's desire to create, and creation is basically the manifestation of this primordial energy or Adi Shakti as matter and life. In this, when Sadashiv transformed into Shiva and Shakti, Adi Shakti manifested as matter, life and energy, and Shiva acted as a consciousness or manifestation of consciousness at various levels in the beings on that. On raising the Kundalini, basically the image of Adi Shakti or reflection of Adi Shakti inside the beings, and sits in the sacrum bone, which we showed in the diagram, that by raising Kundalini, we raise the Kundalini to go up, which can be felt as radiations or vibrations, and this rise of Kundalini can be felt as vibrations, and This enlightens the nadis and chakras to make us the instrument of God, and this is the path of Sahaja Yoga, which leads to self-realization and finally the union of Atma with Paramatma. God bless all. Thank you very much about this. This is how it has happened. मैंने क्या किया मुझे तो खुद नहीं पता.